watching East Tennessee's first and only year-round sports talk show on television. This is The Sports Source with your host, John Pennington.
Good Sunday morning and welcome into The Sports Source. Happy to have you join us. Today we got some Tennessee basketball with the Tyndall situation finally coming to a head. Remember when that letter of allegations was just around the corner in January, February? Well, here at the end of July, we found out what they're going to hit him or what they've charged him with. We'll talk about whether or not there could be some fallout to Tennessee. We'll also take a look at a lot of football topics, including this one, which I like. Oh, wait. Why don't I just tell you this in headlines? Let's just jump into the show right now. First segment of the show brought to you by Phil Cobble Fine Homes and Land. When it comes to finding the right home for you, trust Phil and his team to find you a perfect place. Check this one out. Beautiful 2-bedroom, 2-bath, golf course view, lake view, villa condo in the Fox Den community. You see the price there? Do not waste time. Call Phil Cobble Fine Homes and Land today. You call them, leave them a message, get in touch with Phil. You're going to get a terrific host, a tour guide in terms of finding you your next place. Let's talk about headlines. Here's what's coming up today in the show. We can get those up there. There we go. Donnie Tyndall fallout for Tennessee. And then I like this topic. With his athletic ability and his high-profile academic work, will Josh Dobbs become the most popular / high-profile Vol since Peyton Manning? Think about that. We'll discuss it. We play over-under with some of the Tennessee's possible 2015 stats for football. And is it time for Tennessee fans to worry about a revolving door in the football program? A lot of people come and go over there. Another one going this week. And Jimmy Himes is coming up next. But first, the guys who'll be joining in a few minutes. We got right here Bob Hodge, freelance contributor, Knoxville News Sentinel.
Good morning.
Mark Pancrat's back with us. As you tweeted, if you're on the show out of season, it means something bad's happening. And granted, you're here for the Donnie Tyndall stuff. Mark Pancrat's, of course, former Vol staff member under Consul Martin and Bruce Pearl. Right there, always fun to have Michael Spencer back with us. He is your 6 on your side, WATE Sports Director. Michael, thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
And down there, Chuck Cavaleris, Skechers Sports. Yes. Doing a little work with them. Chuck, always a longtime member of our show, and of course covered the Vols since the, late 1800s?
Yes.
Late 1800s. All right. Since the Zora Clevenger era. All right. The NCAA, as I mentioned, finally delivered their letter of allegations to Southern Miss just this week. It was the one that was rumored to come down months ago. And it makes Tennessee look pretty smart for pulling the trigger on Donnie Tyndall when they did. Let's go ahead and show you what some of the allegations are. Southern Miss, Tyndall, and the staff overall charged with 7 Level 1 violations. The allegations against Tyndall include he arranged payment and completion of fraudulent academic work for students. Tyndall provided $8,000 of impermissible financial aid to kids who weren't qualified to be in school yet. Tyndall obstructed the NCAA's investigation. That was while he was here at Tennessee. And Tyndall failed to promote compliance and monitor his coaching staff. Okay, so how does this impact Tennessee? It is alleged that he broke some rules here. First of all, Tyndall's involvement in arranging and paying for fraudulent online courses lasted through May of 2014. He'd already been here. Then you get Tyndall deleted emails, which were sought by the NCAA. We knew that. UT mentioned that in their decision to fire him. Tyndall lied to investigators of the NCAA. I think Tennessee fans have had enough of their coaches doing that. They know the fallout. Former Tennessee assistant R.J. Rush, the one who resigned because of reasons dealing with his grandmother, just days before he was to be interviewed by the NCAA is when he actually resigned. So that's a little odd. The NCAA made note of that. And then finally reports that UT assistant Adam Howard, who also resigned last November, he reportedly, according to CBS, helped build the case against Tyndall once he stepped aside. Mark Pancratz, you said you're here for trouble. I'm going to start with you. Your thoughts on the allegations against Donnie Tyndall?
Well, when I read through the 46-page report, it was, gosh, I mean, it's damning. I mean, it's not only damning to obviously his career at Tennessee, but just getting back into the business. Those allegations are scary because, and the big thing for me is the line to the NCAA. We saw that with what happened to Coach Pearl. They obviously don't like that, and then all of a sudden they're going to do all they can to prove what they had thought about was true. Obviously, the paying of players, a lot of that, some of that stuff, it goes on at places. But if you're trying to hide it, and then you have a former staff member who was kind of made out to look like a fall guy with being Adam Howard, if he's willing to go to the NCAA and build the story, they're going to get you. And anytime you read about a burner phone, paying players, that stuff it's going to be really tough. Sampson got back in, former Indiana coach. They've had guys that have had these type of allegations, but never 7 level 1 NCAA violations.
Yeah, I mean, Sampson came back only after kind of Pearl cleared the way. And once somebody hired Pearl, who had just lied to them, that was his main violation, then Houston came back and said, okay, it's clear, the coast is clear, we can get Sampson. I think Todd Bozeman, who did this at California and was blackballed for several years, he got a show cause. He came back to a very small school on the East Coast where he coached. But most of these guys do not come back from these type of allegations if they're proven. And I think we know by the NCAA standards that they're probably going to be proven. Any fears from any of you guys regarding Tennessee and current Tennessee players? You would think that the NCAA would look at this and say, you acted quickly, you asked us for input, we gave it to you, you cut ties quickly. But the one thing that I would be worried about a little bit, if I'm a Tennessee administrator, is the fact that those payments for fraudulent courses, was he still having to pay on his credit card for stuff that was going on at Southern Miss, or did he help a student or two get into UT that the NCAA might come back and say in December, hey, you're ineligible? Any fears for Tennessee right now, or do you feel pretty good?
I think for Tennessee, you absolutely have to fear that there might be something. Now, you certainly hope that there isn't, but I think you're burying your head in the sand if you're looking at all this stuff and knowing that Donnie Tyndall was here for a year, and you're going to think, oh, well, he probably didn't commit any violations when he was here. I think if you're thinking from that perspective, then you're just foolish. And if there is somebody on that team that you're worried about, I think you got to take care of it. Unfortunately for Tennessee, with the depth they have on this basketball team, they're not necessarily in the position to say, okay, we're going to hold this guy out because we might be worried that there's some lingering effects from Donnie Tyndall. They simply can't do that.
Yeah, and if there were fear, Johns, you would have think those would have been addressed several months ago by Tennessee. And you hope Tennessee has done a better job at doing that than they did vetting Donnie Tyndall when they hired him.
Well,
a Google search would have vetted Donnie Tyndall better than he did.
Exactly. When after they hired him, people may remember this, may not. The week they hired him, he got one question at the press conference, and he kind of danced around it and said, I didn't know what was going on there. The first show we did after his hiring, we put up what the NCAA said went on at Morehead State. I still don't understand how Dave Hart looked at that, if he did, and said, yeah, we're hiring him anyway, after you'd gone through the Bruce Pearl stuff. For me, I think in a lot of ways, Tennessee has dodged a bullet here. All right, and let's say the worst that could happen is they may come back and rule somebody ineligible, maybe, down the road. If that's the worst you would get, considering this guy's history at Morehead State and at Southern Miss, I think you caught a break in finding out about this when you did and cutting ties with him.
Well, that's what I agree that you have to worry about things, but I think what you have to worry about is it's mitigated. I don't think people have high expectations for this basketball team this year. I think if you lose somebody, if that's probably the worst that could happen to you, well, it's bad, but once again, you're talking about a basketball team whose the bar's been set pretty dadgum low for them anyway. And so if you lose somebody because Donnie Tyndall did something in getting him on campus, I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. I don't think he could have been here and done anything, planted a landmine that's going to really blow up.
All right, I'll finish with Mark, who's been involved in basketball for a long time. Any landmines that could have been planted?
A couple things. With guys like Mostella, who we know that Mostella was having troubles getting into different schools. All of a sudden, he gets into Tennessee. If there is any thoughts, because of what's gone on here, the last 2 staffs, 3 staffs, you can't take a gamble. You got to just go the other way and move on into this new era. The other thing is the academic Adams State, by the way, has probably got more hits on their website than ever before, the online courses that those kids were taking. That type of stuff goes on everywhere. Online courses, helping kids that can't get into school, whether it's the coaches telling a parent to, hey, help them out, or it's a coaches telling high school parents, or whether it's coaches doing it. The difference, it goes on in a lot of places. The difference is, why doesn't North Carolina have some issues with all their NCAA stuff? Well, the difference is that they didn't have a guy singing. They didn't have a guy like Adam Howard. They didn't have a guy who initially, I forget his name, who brought all of this to the NCAA. Yeah, you had 2
guys roll over reportedly.
That's why they got to this point. Doesn't make it right. It's still as wrong can be, but that's the difference of why people keep wanting to say, well, Tennessee, gosh, it always happens to us and not to these other schools. Donnie had 2 guys singing on him, and it got him to where he's at.
All right, very good. Mark, you'll be joining us a little bit later to talk about Austin Nichols. But next, Jimmy Hyams joins us, and we're going to discuss a topic I like here. This is Josh Dobbs with all that athletic ability. Can he put it together with his academic strengths that everybody knows about and make himself the most high-profile Vol football player of the last 2 decades? I don't know if we've had anyone that high-profile nationally since Peyton Manning. Will Josh Dobbs become that guy? Come on back on the Sports Source.
Quality, quick. Trust Fast Frame.